Isn't it funny how when you're pregnant, all of a sudden you hit a point in your pregnancy, and whether or not it's because of being sick or something else, but there comes a point in your pregnancy where everywhere you go, your first instinct is to figure out where the bathroom is and figure out the shortest bathroom. And like, I know when I'm in later stages of pregnancy, I pee all the time. Like, I just can't stop peeing. And I'll go places and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I can't, I gotta go. Like, there is not a bathroom within a reasonable walking distance. And if I have to sprint or break off into a jog to get to the bathroom, it's gonna be bad for everybody. So I'm just gonna stay home today.
I remember that. I remember that feeling because I began to realize a porta potty or a pit toilet, I'm going. It's a place to get rid of that feeling. Had to go. Yeah, I got real humble real quick in my pregnancy.
I did too. I wouldn't go to stores or places of business, even a restaurant, like even the ones that's just like the little front and they don't have a back area other than their employees could go pee back there or whatever. Like, I was like, if you don't have a bathroom, you don't get my business, because I can't go. And like, I was with Gavin, I was such like a frequent flyer, I guess you could say, at certain stores. Like, literally, they had a place where I would like have my car and I would like whatever, and I just put my car and I'd pee like a million times while I'm in the store. And I always had a jug of water too, so I was like drinking water and like peeing and like, whatever. But they literally made me a spot in certain places to put my stuff so it didn't get put back and I could find it after I went pee and then came back out. And I was like, oh, these people, they're just great. But other places I couldn't go there. I was like, I can't go to restaurants. I can't go to places. Like, if you don't have a bathroom for me, like, I can't be here. Like, because you pee so much. Like, it's like you literally pee you leave the house. Okay, I'm gonna pee. I'm gonna leave the house. You get to wherever you're going, you have to pee. Then you maybe pick out some food at a restaurant. Then you have to pee again. Like, you pee so much as a pregnant person. It's like insane. I always look back and like, that's why I don't sleep well. Like, how can you sleep well when you have to get up a million times to go to the bathroom and then you can't get comfortable again going back to bed? Like, now you got to like maneuver your body to get back up in the bed, and you're big and you're pregnant, and then you're uncomfortable and like, oh, I'm cold. No, I put on, oh, now I'm sweating. Like, it's so like, there's so many things going on. Like, you're like, oh, my foot's got to go over here. No, my foot's got to go over there. No, my arm, like, you're just, and you spend half your nights doing that. Literally maneuvering your body around like a puppet, trying to find a comfortable position to fall asleep in. Like, that's what I remember of pregnancy. It was like, when you get to that end point where you're just really big and like slowing down a little bit movement and peeing a million times, like I kind of almost cut myself off before bed, like you do like a child. Like with liquids, because I was like, it saves me going to the bathroom like every hour. I could go to the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours. Because it's not fun trying to get comfortable again. You're never comfortable like at the end. You just aren't, like, ever.
Have you ever developed sleep apnea or horrible snoring problems in pregnancy? Because that's one of my things. I wake myself up snoring, where I'll be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? One time when I was pregnant with John, my son, my boyfriend John, the one morning he was like, how are you feeling this morning, hon? And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm exhausted though. And he's like, you were snoring so bad I had to roll you over. And I was like, what? Because I always sleep, at this point, I was sleeping on the right side of the bed. He was sleeping on the left side of the bed. But I was like, I got to sleep on the left side of my body every single night because I'm going for this VBAC and the baby has to be in the perfect position. So I'd sleep facing into the middle of the bed. And he was like, yeah, you were snoring so bad and right in my face that I couldn't sleep. So I rolled you over. And I was like, I understand why I feel like rather weak and exhausted today, because apparently I was not getting any oxygen in my sleep and I was not getting any actual sleep. And I got like the fat neck feeling where every time I'd lay down, I just felt like there was so much weight here that it was like pressing on my throat. And I'd be like, and like waking myself up, shuddering in my sleep.
Yep. And I still have some issues with it. I noticed one of the things that pregnancy did to me was I didn't really have any problems with my asthma from the time I was in my 20s until I was pregnant. And that summer was really bad. That was a really bad time. And I know that hormones do affect that. And it's, whatever. But I did notice now my asthma is much worse now that I've had a kid. I'm like, oh, great. And I know some of it's been the summers we've had wildfires, and the smoke has been really bad. So that's affected it. But I'm like, man, never. Like I could sleep before. And now, like even the other night, my husband's like, oh my goodness, you were snoring so bad. Like, was I? Oh my goodness. Well, that explains why I felt like in my dream, someone was jumping on my chest. Couldn't get any air in there. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, every aspect of me as I was before, it's different now. Even though I'm past all the other stuff, I'm healed from the initial birth or whatever. This has changed me, and this is 7 years, and I am a completely different person than I was before I had my kid. Can't really tell, but I feel all of that.
Me too. Mine was the same because mine was 7 years ago too. And he's basically how I view it was I was in my 20s and like, like your body in your 20s and then you have a baby. And then it was like just being pregnant, like, and then whatever happens, like, it was like afterwards, you just don't go back. And we have trouble like looking at like how long we've been together and whatever, like we have trouble like going back into time when we were in our 20s because it feels like such a long time ago, even though it was like, oh, I had a kid 7 years ago, but it was like, when you really look at it, we're like, man, we're like old people. Like it's weird, but it like ages you. It changes your body so much, like in so many different ways. Like I like everything about me changed, like everything. Like it's almost like I mean, my experience was different, but it changed it because it was like turning on a switch or turning off a switch. Like literally, we always refer to it as like before and after. Like the moment of whatever, it was like, that was before, that was our life before, and this is after. There's no going back. Like there's no anything. And my body's just never, my body, my brain, my soul, like everything, I've never like recovered from it. Like, even though it's like, I've tried doing a lot of stuff, like I got diagnosed with so much other stuff afterwards from doctors afterwards. Like I found out so many different things about my body. Like, hey, you have PCOS. I never knew I had that. Again, I didn't have real medical before. So I didn't know, no doctor ever figured it out. And I found out after I lost my kid. Like there was a lot of things like I had an umbilical hernia that went undiagnosed for who knows how long. And when I went to have my rainbow, the doctor told me right away about it because I was like, I don't know what this is. And she was like, well, when you have a baby, your muscles separate and sometimes they don't go back together, and your muscles were separated for a very long time. And now while you're pregnant again, because your muscles didn't go back and they're now like whatever, she's like, chances of a hernia, we have to monitor because you have a hernia spot. And sure enough, I ended up with surgery after my second son was born. So it was like, there was a lot of things that I never heard about. I didn't understand. You think a hernia from picking things up and always like, near like your legs. I didn't know what an umbilical hernia, like, I didn't know there was one around your belly button. And we know our muscles change and our bodies change during pregnancy, but you don't think about like your muscles opening and then going back together. Like, and if they don't go back together, they stay open and you're weak. Like you have a weaker core. And it's kind of crazy because I cannot tell you how many doctors I've gone to and how many places I've been to where I'm like, I can't do yoga like I used to do yoga. And they're like, what do you mean you can't do yoga? And I'm like, my core is broken. Like I'm broken. I'm not a steady core. And if you don't have a steady core, there's a lot of stuff where you're very unbalanced and it's not good for you. And you can really tweak your body and stuff. So you have to be very, very careful. So it's like 7 years ago, I had my kid, and because of just the muscle separation, I can't do yoga like I used to do. And people like think of like yoga, like whatever. I'm like, no, like I was like legitimately into yoga. I can't do plank moves because my stomach almost falls out. Like that's how it is. And that's what it feels like. And it's really scary to think like a lot of us aren't getting diagnosed. Nobody's like talking about it. Women don't share about it. We have pelvic floor issues. Who knew that was a thing? And you know what I mean? And I heard like overseas in other countries, I don't remember if it was like the Netherlands or New Zealand or something like that. Every woman that has a baby, whether she has a C-section or vaginal birth, after she's like good to be like, okay, or whatever, they make them go through physical therapy for their pelvic floor. They
Correct.
actually make, there you go. I was gonna say, I know a few of them do it, but I was reading like every single, like once you have a baby, doesn't matter, you have to go through it. And women recover a lot better with that. They recover in so many more ways. They're stronger. Like there's so many things. And a lot of them do get help. Like they do send you the therapy to put your muscles back together. Like that's whatever. But America's a little bit different. Like some doctors do. They do refer you out and they do send you to certain places and they will get you help.
But it's not a routine thing that they're screening for. I think
Yeah.
our I don't know, it's our Puritan roots that make it so, that whole mommy martyr thing. Well, if you're a little leaky and a little weak, well, you had a kid, and they don't look much into it. I think it's one of the reasons why we can't separate prenatal care and postpartum care as this thing that, oh, well, that's not a medical thing. That's just a body doing what a body does. No, we need to look at it. It is medical care. Birth is a medical event. We can't separate things happening within a body as something different, because it's the rest of our lives can be affected by the things that happen to us in pregnancy and birth.
Doing these videos, it does kind of, the discussions that we've had do kind of help piece together pathways of thought that I had one end of it and I had the other end of it, and I was never able to put them together. Something that really bothers me now is that the natural birth community is all about going to see pelvic floor physical therapists and stuff like that. Midwives are recommending pelvic floor physical therapists more often than doctors that I know of. Obviously, they're recommending really crunchy physical therapists and they're recommending chiropractic care and stuff like that. But I want to know, where does the correlation between an event so serious in a female's body or a birth-giving parent's body, how can an event that is so serious, it requires chiropractic and physical therapy care after the fact, be something that while it's happening, it should be done so low resource and so laissez-faire? How do those two mindsets add up? Because physical therapy is recommended for people who have severe injury. Physical therapy is recommended for people who are losing mobility of limbs, people who've been in car accidents, athletes who have totally destroyed their ACLs and things like that. This care that the midwives and the natural birth community want us all to be pursuing for ourselves after we're done having babies with them is all kind of care that is usually in the United States reserved for people who have an extreme physical need for it.
I'm sure you heard all the stuff. I heard, let's see, at the end, she was going to send me probably to the chiropractor and for acupuncture. Yeah, that's what she was going to send me for the end. And I was just like, just induce me, just get me to the hospital, induce me. I don't want to go to all these people and all these things. Like, I don't want to do all of this stuff, especially like as far along as I was just tired, but they do this thing of like, send you there and send you whatever. But it kind of goes along the lines of like the natural remedies to naturally induce. Why is that not considered interventions? So the doctors are using like things that they monitor, they study. They have a lot of people that have done it way before you have. So they know all these things to like induce and all these ways or whatever. And by the way, they can shut it off. They can change the doses. They can change things. But yet, when you're at home taking some herbal whatever, you don't know what you're taking. You don't know what it's doing. You're not being monitored. You know what I mean? You're not even, it's not like you're in the hospital with a monitor on you and they're checking your blood pressure or anything. Like you're literally at home doing whatever they tell you to do. Stick this up there and drink that. And, and how is that not an intervention? That is an intervention. You're trying to push things a little bit, whatever. And like looking back, I think about that is like, when I was like, let's go be induced, like she should have just taken me to go get induced. But instead she gave me all this hooky, crappy, like, woo stuff of like, here, drink this, do this, whatever. But that's kind of the same thing. Like, even though it's obviously it's not studied, it's not monitored, it's not anything. And it might not probably be good for us. A lot of people have seen very bad effects from it.
It's something she can do. So of course that's not going to be wrong, because that's something that can be offered by someone who doesn't have medical training, and it's better because it's natural.